Well, good morning, everyone. This is WA6LDI Net Control for the South Orange Amateur Radio Association Sunday morning 40-meter net, otherwise known as the SOARA net. It's now 0800 local Pacific time. This is an open net. All licensed amateurs are welcome to check in. Thus far, I've heard WA6ED, K6UVR, KG6FCT. Do we have any other stations wishing to check in at this time? If so, please come now.
W6EDT.
KR6ISS, Phil. Okay, I heard W6EDT and KR6ISS. There was another station?
KE6IWM, Mike and Lone Pine.
Okay, copied you that time, Mike. Any other stations wishing to check into the SOARA net? Please come now.
Kilo November, India.
Okay, there was a station beginning with Kilo. Say again, please. You're a little weak.
Kilo November 6 Hotel, India, Steve.
Okay, good morning to you, Steve. KN6HI, WA6LDI. Any other stations? Okay, nothing heard. Thus far, we have WA6ED, K6UVR, KG6FCT, and Lou pass it on to Dale, W6EDT. Dale pass it on to Chris, KR6ISS. Chris pass it on to Mike, KE6IWM, and Mike pass it on to Steve, KN6HI. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for checking into the net this morning. The topic today is going to be what aspect of amateur radio have you wanted to participate but haven't done so thus far? So that would be contest indexing, different modes, etc. So let's go to the top of the list, and we'll go with that. So WA6ED to pick it up. This is WA6LDI.
WA6ED. Good morning, Phil and everybody. And thanks for running the net, as always, Phil. What's going on? Well, I was in a car accident last week, got hit by a person turning left. From what I can tell, everything that I can tell, I had a green light. So we'll see how the insurance companies work it out. It's still an enigma. Right now, I'm playing around with nano VNAs and tiny SAs, which is a lot of fun, by the way, especially if you use that test board that they sell for the nano VNA. I have a 7-inch nano VNA that I'm playing around with. And then what I want to do next, and I'm thinking of starting to compile a cookbook for antennas and experiments that you can do with either the tiny SA or the nano VNA. And that would just have different recipes basically in it and different experiments that you might want to do, and then what to look out for. Like I've been bit a few times with the nano VNA for the auto scale on the y-axis. So, you know, different little things, gotchas and stuff like that would be really cool to have compiled into a notebook of some sort. So that's an idea that I'm kicking around. I've been kicking it around for a while. By the time I get to it, somebody will probably already finished one and I'll just buy it. But it looks like it would be a lot of fun to do. And fun to talk to other people. All right. I believe it goes to K6UVR. Take it away, Steve. WA6ED. No copy on Steve.
Yeah, same here, Lou. Let's go on to, well, Lou, pick it up, sir. KG6FCTWA6LDI.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is KG6FCT, and I'm hearing everyone except for Steve. And I hope this new legislation passes. It is only a wish. My feeling is it is so important, just so many hams that operate in an HOA environment, I think operate quietly and can't really enthusiastically share the enjoyment of ham radio with friends and neighbors in the HOA for fear of getting somebody, he's not following the rule type person. So it's, you operate quietly and always concerned. And with that, I am listening mostly on the Half Moon SDR, and I will pass it on to Dale. W6EDT, this is KG6FCT.
Well, thank you, Lou. Good morning to everybody. This is W6EDT. I couldn't hear Steve either, so I don't know if he was actually out there or not, but hopefully he'll get his Hermes Light 2 radiating a little bit better. So let's see. I think Phil's survey question was, what is an aspect of amateur radio that you haven't done that you would like to do? And although it's not a super high priority for me, I want to do satellite communication. That seems like that would be very interesting and a lot of fun. Either direct to the ISS or using either the linear or other kinds of repeaters in orbit to make contacts with others on the surface. So that's kind of what I'd like to do. But that's a little bit longer term because I either need something that can track antennas automatically or have some mechanism of doing it manually, preferably while I'm sitting inside. Although, you could use, I have an aero antenna that I could use handheld to track. I mean, that itself might also be fun. It doesn't take a lot of equipment for sure to do that. So anyway, that's my answer to the question. And with that, I will pass it to Chris, KR6ISS from W6CVT. Good morning, Chris.
Okay, Dale, it's KR6ISS. Fortunately, this is another day that doesn't have power line noise. I'm getting power line noise some days, and other days I get nothing. It was terrible on Thursday for the Gordo net. It was nothing on Friday, and it's nothing today. So I have no idea where this is coming from or why we get it one day and not the other. Anyway, I think after all these years, I think whatever I really wanted to get out of amateur radio, I've gotten out of it. Whereas whatever I haven't been doing, I haven't pursued because I'm not interested. I don't like contesting. I think it's boring to sit there and yell your call sign out on. It seems aimless. And so there's a lot of aspects of amateur radio I have no interest in at all. I have interest in the emergency aspects of it, helping out emergency groups. I have interest with the travel and international aspects of it. I've been to foreign countries and met foreign hams and got on the air with them in foreign countries. That's interesting to me. But a lot of it, what goes on amateur radio, is not of much interest to me. I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm not interested in electronics technically. And everything that we do is at the aquarium compared to what is professionals are really doing out there. If you want to get into satellites, well, get Starlink. Got way more
Right, what's more effective than anything you do with an amateur radio getting into satellites? So I just, professional electronics is just running rings around us, and that's the reality of it. Anyway, so I'm maybe kind of jaded after all these years. Anyway, I'm going to send it on to Mike up there in Owens Valley. Take it, Mike. This is KR6 ISS.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Chris. KE6IWM, Mike and Lone Pine. And thanks for the information you sent me, Chris. Yeah, a lot of nature stuff going on, including that wolf that made it to Santa Clarita. And now they've tracked it. It couldn't find a mate, I guess, down there. Wonder why. LA should have a lot of action, but maybe not for that lone wolf. And yesterday morning, the Times reported it was between Tehachapi and Mojave headed north. So if it goes on the east side of the Sierras, I might see it up here. That'd be nice to see, though. Hopefully friendly nice. Okay, that's the report for that. I sort of like to get try some digital. I've done it at field day, and I think I hooked it up here one day. My 7300 will do it, and I have a computer right next to it. But I just haven't gotten into it and set it up and tried to make contact. So maybe I'll do that. Something I can do pretty easily, I guess. The other thing I was just talking to the previous Ed about putting a mobile HF antenna, probably a 40-meter Hustler resonator on my truck. And do HF stuff. But the only mobile radio I have for that's a 706. So, which I've had for a long time and works good. So, that's a couple things I might want to do. As far as satellites, way back, maybe 20 years ago, at field day in Costa Mesa, I did a contact with the space, the astronaut, one of the astronauts on the space station. Don't remember his call or his name, and never got a card from him, but that was fun. It was took three of us. Someone was holding a small 2-meter beam. Yeah, he aiming at approximately where he thought the station would be. And then Gordon West was taking care of the Doppler effect on the radio, adjusting the frequency, and I transmitted and got a response from the space station. And that was pretty cool. I tell people that occasionally. Nodding them, just somewhat amazed by that. But I haven't done that again. I have used their repeater on the space station. And in fact, I talked to Gordon West on the repeater one time. He was there, and I did a call, and he heard me and chatted for a second or two. But that was the only, and I've tried it a few times, but that's the only time I really got a contact with anyone. And that was sort of fun, and I really haven't listened for that anymore. I can see when it's going over and listen for it. Maybe try that again, but yeah, not too much more. It's about 47 degrees up here, cloudy. Fortunately, no wind right now. We're supposed to get rain tomorrow. So, okay. I turn it over to Steve. That's right, KN6HI. Steve, over to you from KE6IWM.
Okay, thanks, Mike. This is Steve, KN6HI. I turned my my power up. I was at 25 watts before, and now I'm at 100 watts. So, and I'm on the off-center fed dipole here at home. So normally I'm in the truck up on top of the hill. So I'm going to see how things go here. It's a little bit harder, I think, reception-wise here, hearing people. Anyway, the kind of thing that I'm trying to, get going here is my CW operating. I mean, actual getting out there and operating, having QSOs and rag shoes and stuff like that. And, I'd like to do that portable as well. So I've got some QRP equipment that I'd like to use. And so I'm studying, doing a lot of analytical experiments with antennas until I get just the right, perfect portable antenna that I want to go out with. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm not that interested in contesting either, but I see that it's a structured procedure that maybe is helpful, actually, at some stage of my development here in CW that might actually help me to to move on to rag shoes and whatnot. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I haven't done much F8, or actually haven't done any FT8 either, and so I should at least try that. So that's another thing to look at. So that's about it. I think we're the last in the line, so I'm going to turn it back to Net Control, WA6LDI. This is Steve, KN6HI.
Okay, thank you, Steve. KN6HI in the group. This is WA6LDI. Again, this is I'm Net Control for the SOARA Sunday morning 40-meter net. This net is open to all licensed amateurs. Thus far, we have 7 people that have checked in. Any other stations wishing to do so, again, please come with your complete call sign. This is WA6LDI. Okay, nothing heard. Do we have any relays? Okay, no relays. Let's go to the top of the list. WA6ED. This is WA6LDI.
WA6ED. I'm going to have to figure out my Bluetooth. I'm wearing Bluetooth headphones, or I was, and then twice this morning it switched channels, and I'm listening to somebody's jazz recording or radio or something else, and it's like, not bad music, but it's not ham radio. And I don't know what it's doing, so I got to figure that out. All this automatic stuff can bite you, I guess. If people are interested, there's a 241 to 250 gigahertz 1 millimeter wavelength chipset that you can get. They're about $600 a board right now from ND Semiconductors, and there's an article on it in the January-February QEX. Now, granted, it would be line of sight only, and I don't know if you have to have separate transmitters and receivers, but ND Semiconductors and January-February QEX, most members should have access to that now. But I thought it was really interesting and not cheap, but fun to play with millimeter wave radio stuff. So that's the first kit I saw in the $600 range. The stuff that Buick, where I work, sold was about $6,000, I think. I mean, it was really expensive, and only Pasternak sold it. So anyway, and we don't make it anymore. So and that was millimeter wave V-band, I believe. That's about it. I'm going to hang around for a while. I'll do the 10-meter net on 28.415 at 9 o'clock, but I'll still hang out if there's another round that I can just say 73 on then. But in the meantime, hopefully Steve has things working. I'll hand it to K6UVR. Take it away, Steve, WA6ED.
Well, the working is fine, but the wife ended up getting lots of drug process because of the possibly covered it. But it's I think it's okay to keep it. I couldn't do anything for a while. I sat down during pretty ridiculous news. I've been sitting there for a bit. I got a 2-minute thing. But we are in afternoon that I tried to put some fun. And watched really regular by news for my interesting situation. But I was working on it. The car is with a hobby that I haven't anticipated in, that I would like to participate in. My health is right. I would love to try. I guess I don't know what the name is. Is it over? Or I have one with a troll wires in town. People are doing that. They go down to the town. I think that would be pretty fun. I was thinking for that time afterwards, there was enough time at that opportunity. And probably make some kind of contact somehow. So I don't think really hadn't granted the information power in the team. It's very interesting to call out. And then, the number of power, I have a couple of the two products, and the ability for the people, and it's shot on 220 over the Hawaii, but the beach, it's not the road in my life. Sometimes that, but I think that really has to be interesting. Now that the radio was so down, now it's really one of the exactly really the ability to use areas running down the years so that you can watch and sort of and to help with that. So I ended over there and good morning. So
well, K6 UVR, this is KG6FCT. I'm having quite a bit of difficulty hearing Steve. That's K6 UVR. I'm both the Half Moon Bay and the Utah SDRs. And I don't know why, but Ed, when you were on, I picked up QRM on the Half Moon Bay SDR where you came through garbled. I don't know what's happening there. Phil, you were 10 over at my location. Ed was 5 over. Dale, Chris, and Mike were 10 over. And Steve H.I. was an S8. Good hearing those that I hear. And all the aspects of ham radio interest me, although my most activity is on 40 with the GordoNet. So, but I always look forward to doing more and experimenting more with antennas. I miss Forbstown, where I had the ability to play with antennas more, and my interest is experimenting with remote auto tuners, and I hope to convert one or two more that are designed to operate with a single wire into a more, to be able to connect them at the base of a balanced feed, like to connect up to a ladder line and operate remotely from a G5RV or remotely from a Cobra Junior. So that's in my plan, and Ed, I definitely want to hear more about what you're doing with the with your analyzers and with the with the items you were talking about. And with that, I will pass it on to Dale. W6CDT. This is KG6FCT.
Well, thank you, Lou, and thanks, Phil, for running that. I don't know if I said that before, but it's always appreciated to have somebody to organize it. The one thing about amateur radio is that it's an excellent way. There's definitely many different aspects of amateur radio. There's the communications aspect, talking to other people, either directly by voice or through some kind of, coding scheme, digital, CW, radio, whatever. And then there's the practical engineering aspects of amateur radio, where you try to extend your knowledge by performing experiments using actual over-the-air transmission. So the satellite stuff, for example, is interesting because there's skill involved, and there's you get to understand the practical aspects of what it takes to actually do that sort of thing. Is it more efficient than commercial uses? I don't know, but that's not the point. To me, the point is doing practical engineering, similar to Ed's the use of the Nano VNA and Tiny SA. You're using those things to gain knowledge about some aspect of RF behavior, and that's in and of itself a goal. So that's what I like about amateur radios. There's so many different opportunities to do practical engineering, but also to communicate. And in the case of emergency communications, to help with that. So amateur radio is a great hobby. Certainly not entirely practical, and certainly from the standpoint of money versus the results of practical results of communication, it's not very efficient, but it's fun anyway. So with that, I think I pass it to KR6ISS from W6CDT.
SOARA-6ISS, basically amateur radio is similar to lots of hobbies that are getting off on somebody else's job. We don't run a broadcast station. We don't run the cell phone system. We're not running air traffic control or police dispatching or anything that's a practical job. We're just sort of play acting as something as someone else's job, just like people get off on trains, like Lou likes to do miniature trains. Other people go to rail yards and stare at the trains going by when they're not. And this happens a lot of hobbies. People are beard watchers, even though they're not PhD ornithologists. I mean, it's what is a category of hobby that's, getting into other people's jobs. And that's what it is. And that's fine. It's educational. It kills your time. And there's nothing wrong with it. But that's what it is. This is someone else's job to run radio communications in this world. It's the job. And some people like that actually work in it professionally. They're doing a Bushman's holiday, taking it a hobby too. The funny thing about land surveying, I'm a professional land surveyor. I've never heard of people doing land surveying as a hobby. I don't think that, well, maybe field catching is sort of like that, maybe, but not really. No, I haven't ever heard about people trying to make a hobby out of land surveying. But that does happen with a lot of stuff. But not my field, I don't think. Anyway, I got a whole other technical problem that plagued me this week. So my automatic dishwasher broke finally after 1994, and when I was put in the original equipment, and so I go to home base and buy another one, and install it and take away the old one and all that all that. They came out last week and said, "Oh, we can't install it because your water connection is faulty." The what? The valve that cuts the water off that connects to the, underneath the sink. It leaks a little bit if you try to close it. Well, so what? So that forced me to hire a plumber, $150 for them to even come out there. And he said, well, the only way to fix this, because this is all tech stuff that was put in by your repiper, we cut the place in 2017. Tech stuff more complicated to deal with than copper piping and fixtures. He said I'd have to tear into the wall and take all this tech stuff out, and it'd be $650 just to replace this valve. What? Why can't you just screw another valve on the valve that's not working right? Wouldn't that be simpler? So this is what I'm dealing with. So I refused this repair, and he went away, and now it's now in a big imbroglio between the management company, the repiper, and whether we could just figure out some way to do it on my own. Maybe I could get you guys involved in it, trying to fix this so I don't have to pay $650 to tear into my stuff in my wall. This is ridiculous. And yet I've been finding from talking to people that they have a lot of problems with when they try to install something new. They're told that all their connections are bad and they have to hire all kinds of expensive reconnecting stuff. This has happened to other people. So I get to think it's almost some kind of a racket. So this is where I'm at with that. So I'm going to see if I can just fix this myself by putting another plug on the screw it onto the one that weak, and that takes care of it. I can get away with that. So we don't honestly know what the electrical connection looks like. If it doesn't have a surge protector plug back there, it's probably going to have one put in, and on and on and on. So don't buy new appliances. You're going to get yourself into a nightmare with they're saying that your connections are all bad and it's going to cost tons of money to fix it. Next on to Mike up in Owens Valley. KR6ISS, take it, Mike.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chris. K6IWM. And when I moved into this house, the house was built in 1906. and all the water supply lines were shot. So I had to replace everything. I had contracted a guy to run a new line from the street up to the house and put a faucet there. And from there, I put techs in everywhere. From that point into the house, you know, the bathroom, the kitchen, that's only 2 places I have, so it's somewhat simple. This seemed to work okay. I did that in like 2019, I think it was, and I haven't had any problems with it. Did it all myself, so it's pretty simple. I don't have a dishwasher, but I do have washer, dryer, and kitchen sink all there, and plumbed it together. And then, right at just about the same time, I bought a tankless water heater, mounted it, and I plumbed that in with that too. But it's pretty easy. It should be not too difficult to adapt whatever to a new faucet that doesn't leak again. It's very odd. They say they can't do it because there's a leak when it's turned off. You know, so turned off, you're monitoring it usually. And if you really want to turn it off, you can turn it off at where it enters the house. Just shut the water down completely. That stops leaks. So, okay, well, good luck with that, Chris. Let's see what else. Satellite stuff. Because I'm up here and I've done a couple of events where there's no cell service and radio sometimes a little bit hard to walk to down in the canyon, stuff like that. So my T-Mobile account, I have their satellite service. I think it's $10 extra a month, and I can discontinue it anytime and bring it back up whenever I think I'm needing it. But it's been on there recently. I haven't really used it the last couple of months, but I do get text messages from T-Mobile telling me I'm out of cell coverage and I'm on their satellite service. And I use it, and it does work, but it is delayed. I guess depending on where the satellites are, we don't quite have enough of them to relay it as fast as yeah, I should be able to. And they say they're going to extend or increase the capacity, the bandwidth maybe, so they can do more than just texting. I heard photos and maybe voice on that. But it's delayed, and voice is sort of I'm not sure how well voice can work on a delayed signal. But it's satellite operation. So one more aspect of radio communication, even though it's on a cell phone. I was talking to someone, what was he doing? Oh, he was TV broadcaster. Well, that's radio too. And he looked at me, funny at first, and I said RF stuff, and he understood what I was saying. So, let's see. Okay, we do have a couple upcoming events up in the valley. In April 11th, in Weldon, up by Lake Isabella, the Kern County radio groups are having a swap meet. That's April 11th. Then April 25th, 2 weeks later, the Bishop Radio Club and the Ridgecrest Radio Club are having a swap meet here in Lone Pine, so I get really involved with that at the park. And it's a good, it's mostly meet and, BS with people more than buy and sell stuff. I tried to buy a little antenna last year, and they just gave it to me. And one of the other guys in the previous net said, I tried to sell stuff, I ended up just giving some away. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I do the Bishop net 3.950, 80 meters, at 7:30 on Sundays, and it went until like 2 or 3 minutes before 8 this morning. So I thought it was going to go over, but had a good 10 check-ins, had a station from Vegas check in, a couple from the San Bernardino Mountains, and of course all over the area here, Carson Valley. So that was pretty good. That's 75 meter net I run. But then of course I do the net on the Gordo Net Thursdays. So I do plenty of net control stuff. So, but it's fun to do. Good to talk to everyone. So, okay, with that, turn it over to. I turn my page over to Steve, KM6HI, from KU6IWM.
All right, thanks, Mike. This is Steve, KM6HI. Yeah, not too much to add here. As long as I can keep my fingers off these buttons on the top of the the 7300 microphone. Yeah, I got really close there. This thing will actually change the frequency. It'll fluid at a real high rate if you touch one of those buttons, even if you're in the middle of the transmission. So that's interesting. Not a whole lot more to add to this conversation, so I'm going to turn it back to Net Control, WA6LDI. Phil, this is Steve, KN6HI.
Okay, very good, gentlemen. KN6HI and the group, WA6LDI. Really good turnout this morning. We got, we have 7 people that have checked in. Really great conversations. Already, we're definitely a little past the halfway point, so let me see if we can get anyone else on board at this time. So again, this is WA6LDI Net Control for the SOARA Sunday morning 40-meter net. Again, this is an open net. Full licensed amateurs are welcome to check in. Do we have any other stations wishing to do so? Please come now. Okay, nothing heard. Let's go to the top of the list. I guess we have plenty of time here for a 73 go-around. So WA6ED, Eddie, you still with us? This is WA6LDI.
WA6ED, I'm still here. I'm just kicking around thinking about all the different stuff people were bringing up today. Satellite comms, I built the tracker and then I stopped working on it. So I'm guilty as charged. I need to finish some projects. Yeah, Starlink not being ham radio. I don't think I would want to play with Starlink. But it would sure be a lot more fun to play with satellites. So I kind of disagree with all the professional stuff. I'm not trying to be a professional ham radio operator. I'm just trying to have fun. And this 241 to 250 gigahertz radio ND Semiconductors is making looks really interesting. So I'll definitely have to do some more reading on that. And I think I'm going to keep it at just reading at $600 a board. That means I'd have to spend about $1,200 to probably do anything useful with it. And then you gotta, I think the antenna is built onto the board, which is not good. You want to be able to hook external antennas on. Anyway, that's probably not a project I want to build. But it does look interesting, and all the satellite stuff sounds interesting too. All right, well, I'm going to hang around for a little while and go get some coffee and all that stuff and get ready for the 10-meter net. But it sure is interesting stuff everybody brought up today. Thank you for running it, Phil. Over to Steve, K6UVR, WA6ED.
It's good. It's always wanted to play with something, even sure making that I was actually moving antenna cover and gap antenna where it has to do with the various outside and the air gap between the pins is the antenna. I thought that was pretty cool. So I ended up getting to look up with them and see how that aired. We're all good with these things. So the antenna building is something you can dive into. Whenever it's here, it's just crazy with it. But that's where, like the little Craigie wants to see the auto cover, setting up the antenna, and it makes it easy to experiment. But sometimes you set it up to that radiate. In radio space, you're going to get power transfer kind of auto for wherever it is, the wire type, but if there are connections on it, and then just holding one of the sides and they go up right next to each other and they laid smart center across them. The rubber, because you go to the rubber, the multi-track having uniform power filter, one of the guys who on the bottom end is a short time, so I'm just saying, you can get a put to this stuff. And then you follow the junction and one another ends. You can just keep going. One more to the other side you need to do. It's the other side. So, I'm going to need all of that. I won't be on the table once again, sorry about and I have permanently now on it. And it's just been used by the CDT. Someone have no choice to do, and they get back up on that. I go.
Okay, 6 UVR. Steve, I'm still having difficulty hearing you. You're coming in almost like you have a very strong echo, or I'm wondering how other people are hearing you. If they're and that's I seem to do best with the Half Moon Bay SDR. And but I hear you on my radio, but you're both in my noise and seem to have an echo signal. Ed, if you're still with me, I was looking at the possible VNAs. It looks like it's about $350 for a VNA with a 7-inch or a larger screen. Almost all of them have a 4-inch screen. I'm wondering what you have, and I'm looking at some of the spectrum analyzers, I guess SAs, but they have a tracking generator, or at least they have both a signal generator and a spectrum analyzer. So I wonder if the VNAs will just work as a spectrum analyzer as opposed to also as a VNA. So if you get another chance and comment, or if you could email me with the ones you're using, that would be helpful. And is there, and what software is available? I use a Mac, but might have to use a tablet or a PC to operate with one. So whatever you can pass on will be interesting. So many aspects I wish to pursue. That's the beauty of ham radio. I put them often when I'm less able to do my other activities. As I get older, I expect to do more with ham radio, from just talking on the radio to doing some experimentation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dale. W6EDT, this is KG6FCT.
Oh, thanks, Lou. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with remote antenna tuners and stuff like that. I've got an SGC231 that works really well for multi-band antenna. Chris, comment on your plumbing problem. The problem with PECs in particular is that the people who do the installations of that stuff cheap out and basically install the fittings, valves, whatever, as direct crimp onto the PEX line, and that's buried in the wall, so you got to get into the wall to replace it. The much better strategy would be to put crimp on a threaded fitting, like a male pipe thread fitting, and then screw your valve onto that. The same thing with all the other kinds of things that stick out the wall. I don't understand why people use anything but threaded male pipe thread things coming out of the wall for everything. It makes it really easy to repair when you need to. But the guys that are doing this work, they don't care about the future repair activities. All they care about is getting the job done quickly, and don't consider that the things that are on the outside of the wall will eventually wear out. For the same reason, I don't really like copper compression fittings either. Although those are less likely to, you can most of the time they don't damage the copper pipe sticking out of the wall much, and replace. Nothing beats nail pipe thread, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, you're kind of stuck. Unless you can get a rebuild kit for the valve, that you have on the walls directly crimped on the pecs, which I suspect you cannot, you're kind of stuck. You either deal with a slow leak when it's closed or pay the money. And then please have them put a male pipe thread on there so the next time 20 years from now, somebody else won't be stuck with the same problem. Anyway, I'll say 73 as well, since it seems like this is a 73 round. And I'll pass it on to you, Chris, KR6ISS from W6EDT.
Okay, Dale, KR6ISS. Yeah, the plumber, gave me a whole lecture about the technicalities of why this was a screwy way for them to install, so it makes it so difficult to repair. But still, I don't understand why you just can't install another valve next to the one that's leaking. Just have a valve next to a valve. It seems like that is not X pipe, it's just a screw thing and metal. So I think I might go to home base and show them a picture of this whole thing and say, hey, can't you just get a valve that you can just screw into the next valve? Because instead it just screws into the piece of pipe that goes into the dishwasher. Why don't you can just screw the valve instead of the pipe, and then screw that into the pipe? I just don't understand why it's necessary to tear into the drywall. This is craziness. So I'm finding, well, he said for one thing that these installers are not electricians and they're not plumbers, and they're instructed by their employers. They cannot fix anything, they can't jury rig anything. It's got to be absolutely perfect or they can't touch it. And so, but if you are a plumber, you can make a professional judgment that you can jury rig something, or you can do something that's not quite working right but good enough to do the job, because who cares about whether the valve leaks when it's closed, because once you put your dishwasher on it, it's going to be open. It won't be closed. So it just seems to me that there's a lot of nonsense here that doesn't make technical sense in terms of practicality of getting a job done. So anyway, that's the strange world of installing stuff in your home with old connections that may be falling apart. So anyway, I'll say 73, and probably going to be watching the golf tournament. I'm not much interested in the Olympics. I'll probably watch the golf tournament up at Pebble. And then, so thanks for running the net, Phil, and I'm sending on to Mike here at 6ISS 73, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Chris. K6IWM here. And, well, because my house is so old and I installed it, I don't have any of the valves that are, like, attached to the wall. In fact, the plumbing here was probably added, the existing plumbing after the house was built, because of the supply line for the kitchen sink came up from outside along the wall and through the wall. And I just added my own there. So everything I have is pretty accessible and not too hard to do. And I changed out a couple of valves for some reason weren't working well. But I did stuff on boats. So I was sort of familiar with that. Wasn't too hard to do. But because the house is old, it's not quite how a new construction would be. Easier to repair, I guess. Okay, let's see. I really don't have anything else except the sun sort of is trying to come through the clouds. And it's almost 50 degrees out. Wow, it's time to put shorts on. Okay, thanks a lot for doing the net, Phil. Great to hear all of you. And, yeah, keep up new stuff in the AM radio. So with that, say 73s, everyone, and turn it over to Steve, KN6HI from KE6IWM.
All right, thanks, Mike. This is Steve, KN6HI. And, yeah, I had text put in here about a year ago, and now I'm a little worried. But a plumber once told me that you go around and cycle the shutoff around the house about, I think he said once a month. That's pretty extreme. where, you just wear it out. You might create a leak that way. And if it's been many years, I don't know if you'd want to even do that. So I'm going to give that a shot maybe here and see what happens. I'll pick a day that I can get an emergency plumber if I need it. Anyway, so, Phil, thanks for running the net. Appreciate it. And I'll say 73, and I think I'm still turning it back to Phil. WA6LDI. This is Steve, KN6HI. 73, everybody.
Okay, very good, gentlemen. KN6HI and the group. This is WA6LDI. Well, thank you very much for the flowers, guys, and really appreciate the kind words. I've always enjoyed running the net here and looking forward to many more years, hopefully. All right, with that, I will say 73. Enjoy the remainder of your weekend, and looking forward to chatting with you all again next Sunday. So this is WA6LDI Net Control for the South Orange Amateur Radio Association's Sunday morning 40-meter net. The net is now closed and the frequencies return to normal use. 73 all, take care, and we look forward to next week.